the threat of violence remains. Okay. Uh, my team leader of Team Justice, who I absolutely adore and respect, Glenn Kirshner, did a masterful video on explaining uh, all the other things that are happening in concert with the 11th Circuit. And I want to lightly brush up on those things and point out as to why Donald Trump is very nervous. And I want to premise that by saying, the reason why I'm saying that is Donald put out a video saying our country is going communist. People are imprisoned right now. People are being tormented. Can't let it happen. We're going to stop it and we're going to win. This is Donald Trump's stand back and stand by 2.0. He is priming his flock. And the reason why he's doing it is one by one, like a house of cards would fall, like dominoes. His blockades and his delays are no longer working. The 11th Circuit ruling was one big thud. The Elmer Stewart Rhodes conviction was another ancillary thud. And there was no reference of Donald Trump by prosecution in the Elmer Stewart Rhodes conviction, but links were made with the Secret Service in the trial that corroborates information that we know from the January 6th committee. And mind you, now that the January 6th committee is concluding and writing its report and referrals and recommendations, making decisions on that, the DOJ is seeking all the information that the committee has accumulated over the last how many ever months, I think over like nearly a year now that they have conducted their investigation. And I hope and believe that the committee will turn over everything. And that is going to be devastating for Donald because it's going to corroborate not only the information DOJ is independently investigating, but also things that people they haven't been able to reach out to yet. Like Kellyanne Conway, and I don't think Tony Ornato has talked to the DOJ grand jury yet. I don't know for sure. Of course, we don't know most of the things that are happening with either of those things. The only analysis that I can provide is from the outside. So then there's 11th Circuit. Then there's the ancillary Elmer thing, which is not directly going to impact Donald's seditious conspiracy indictment coming up, but it is going to help bringing in information as to what gave Stewart the idea that Donald would invoke the Insurrection Act and somehow deputize the Oath Keepers to become, the arbiters of peace and justice. Like we don't have the National Guard or the police force for that. The people who they attack. So with that development, we also had development of Tony Ornato and Engel testifying or meeting with the January 6th committee. And I would assume they would testify under oath when they meet with the January 6th committee. And then there's the news that federal judge has ordered Pat Cipollone and Philbin to his deputy Philbin to testify to the DOJ grand jury that is investigating January 6th. So these developments, and I believe that the DOJ has requested Pence to meet with investigators, but if Pence pulls another Congress doesn't have a right to my testimony bullshit, DOJ will subpoena Pence, and if he doesn't have the balls or the spine to say no to a DOJ grand jury subpoena, because if he does that, he will be arrested. So all of this, mind you, and this is a far off thing, the House Ways and Means Committee finally has Donald Trump's tax returns. Donald Trump's Trump org lawsuit in New York is, I believe, coming to a conclusion. Mark Meadows has been ordered by, I believe, the Supreme Court of South Carolina to report to the Fulton County grand jury. And Mark Meadows is another one of those names we'll hear a lot. Roger Stone's indictment is already, I believe, is near. And there's John Eastman. We haven't heard about these people in some time, but I believe they're brewing. I believe Meadows is in, hot water would be an understatement. So, and I'm sure that from sources, Donald has some news of the information that we know publicly and some of the information that the public still doesn't know. Developments around Meadows and Eastman and Roger Stone and all of them, which is not a matter of if, matter of when. All of this put together has cornered this seditious madman into a corner. And he's not going to go quietly. And I've warned about this before, and I'm warning about this again. There will not be something like January 6th, a full-fledged insurrection. It's never going to happen with Donald at the helm ever again. What will happen is what happened with David DePapi, with his hammer to Paul Pelosi's head. What will happen will be sporadic attacks that we've seen in the Buffalo grocery store, at Club Q, at other parts. And that incident, the attacks on the FBI offices, the attacks on the barricades at the Capitol Police, sporadic attacks. If he follows through with his new stand back and stand by of can't let it happen, we're going to stop it, and we're going to win nonsense, there will be more Truth Social messages, and there will be more innuendos put out by Donald Trump in his messages. And you bet there will be many people, including myself, who will point that out to you the moment he says it. That will be triggering for his shadow army. And that puts every American in danger. And I want you to be aware of that. I want you to be vigilant. I want you to stay alert. I wholeheartedly want you to stay up to date on everything that is happening, because we are nearing the end game of Donald's liability. And I won't give you time frames, but I'll say that the 11th Circuit coming back in 10 days with this scathing ruling is a showing that the judiciary's had enough. And it is my belief that the Supreme Court will absolutely affirm this ruling.